check out this pouch, you guys. This is the Sip and Grip pouch by Sew Yours, and I absolutely love this pouch. Now, for the past few months, I have seen similar pouches like this one on Pinterest, and when I went to the store, I saw a couple and I almost got them because I wanted to duplicate them. But I waited, and about a month or so ago, Sew Yours came up with the PDF instructions, pattern, and tutorial on how to make this beautiful Sip and Grip pouch. And I couldn't resist. I had to buy it. Today's video, I'm not only going to do a tutorial of this pouch, I'm also going to share with you my experience of trying this pattern for the very first time. And also I made a second one here that you can see, and I'm going to share with you a little bit of the challenges and the minor changes I did that are not really noticeable, and I'm going to share with you whether I will do that again or not. So stick to the end of this video for that. Now, this is not a sponsored video, or I'm not an affiliate of Sew Yours, but in order to make this pouch, you will need the pattern and the instructions. So I've added a link down in the description for her pattern so you can purchase it and of course be able to make this beautiful little pouch. As always, any information, anything that I used in this video, if I have the links available, they will be down in the description. And I know you're ready to make this pouch, so let's get started. For the exterior, we have the bottom piece that has the Peltex on the bottom for the interfacing, and I used fusible interfacing and the Peltex. And this is home decor fabric. And then my lining is waterproof canvas. Then I have the side panels lining with the waterproof canvas and the exterior. And I use Decor Bond 809 because I didn't have Decor Bond light, but I used fusible interfacing as well. So I put the fusible interfacing on my home decor fabric, and then I added Decor Bond on top of that. Here are the wings. This is the lining and the exterior. Now, I watched her video, and on the video she says do not interface it if you're using a domestic sewing machine. I sew that after the fact, but I have a semi-industrial sewing machine, so I want to make sure I make a note of that in case you're watching this video and you have a domestic sewing machine. She recommends that you do not interface these wings and that you use quilting cotton for them, because you want to keep them flexible, I guess easier when you're constructing the bag. The divider zipper pocket, the one that's in the center of your bag. These are, this is the zipper facing. So when we attach the zipper, this will be the facing for it. And these are the zipper pocket linings and slip pocket. And as you can see, I used different fabrics for these. I used ripstop. You don't interface this. I don't want a lot of bulkiness on my bag, so I'm just gonna give this a try, and we'll see as I make the bag. We'll see the difference. We'll see if it works. But if you're not using ripstop and you're using the same material, then 2 linings with interfacing and 2 linings with interfacing. She says that you can use binding, regular binding, or you can make binding with your own fabric like I'm doing here with a waterproof canvas, or fold over elastic. That is also an option. Then you have the handle and the connectors. This is the 2 pieces of fabric for that. And then the zippers. This is the main zipper for the outside and the two zippers for the two pockets on the inside with the zipper pulls. Then we have the rivets, and these are the Cam Snap mushroom rivets, 8mm in silver, and I'm going to be using my Cam Snap rivet set into the rings here. I'm using these because I have 100,000 of them. I'm exaggerating, but I have a lot of them. But she also says to use the rectangle ones. So whatever D-rings you have, I guess will work. Of course, we are going to use quite a bit of double-sided tape. So I have these, the double-sided tape, whichever one is the same, works. Clips, tons of clips, I'm sure we're going to be using. She also mentions a stapler in her steps, in her instructions. And I've heard of a lot of other bag makers using staplers, so we're going to give that a try today. We're going to be using our small rulers, marking pens as needed, and you will also need a hot iron, especially if you're using quilting cotton and waterproof canvas. If you are using vinyl, you will not need the iron because you really don't want to press the vinyl. But we're going to start with using the iron to make the handle and the connectors. By doing this, these little flaps are not going to try to open. They're going to stay in place, making it easier for me to now fold them towards the center. And again, see, they stay in place now because I'm using the starch. So that is like a must. This is a must product for me, especially when I'm pressing something that needs to really stay in place, like that little bit of fabric there. You want that to stay in place. You don't want it to open, especially when you're in the middle of stitching it or try to fold it like I am right now. It gets really difficult if the fabric is being unruly. So this really helps, and this really helps, especially if you have a fabric like home decor, which it's already a little bit stiff to begin with. So see, it's great. It stays in place. And now I can take it to the sewing machine and stitch it. So the instructions say to stitch this all around the sides. And for this, the same. It says to stitch on each side. So since I have fabric and it could fray here and I don't want it to fray, I am going to and eventually, and we're going to cut this in half anyway. I'm going to cut it in half now. This is one of the changes I'm going to make. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do all 4 sides for each one of these pieces. So this part, we're going to install the rivets, and for this part you definitely need your instructions because you need to have the exact measurement for this. I have a video here that I show you how to use the cam snap to install rivets. These are my dies. But before I bring the cam snap, I am going to use this rivet centering ruler from So Sweetness. I'm not an affiliate. So Yours has in her video, I guess, another like ruler that she calls the Rivet Pal or something like that. Looks pretty cool, but I don't have that. I have this, and so I am going to give this a try based on her measurements, okay? So go ahead and at this point, pull out her measurements and mark where your rivets are going to go, okay? And let me get the rivet press, and then I'm gonna add the rivets to this real quick. But again, I have my video here for you to see. So on one of the side panels, you take the pattern and you cut out the rectangle that's in the pattern that shows you the placement where the connector is going to go. So I'm just going to trace it carefully here on one side. And on the other side. Then I'm going to use double-sided tape. This is optional. And put it there just to keep the connector in place when you take it to the sewing machine to stitch it. Okay. When I take it to the sewing machine, I have to be careful not to stitch over the D-ring here. So I'm just going to stitch around it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, probably starting here and here. And then I'm going to add a rivet down in the center to secure it some more. Divider zipper pocket.
I'm using the seam roller because I don't want to use the iron. I'm afraid that my waterproof canvas is actually going to like shrink a little bit. Sometimes that happens. So this is a good little tool for when you're using vinyl or waterproof canvas, a seam roller. Now I'm going to top stitch it on all 4 sides. Do the same with the other wing. Consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel if you have learned something today. Before we put the entire bag together, we're going to mark the center of some of these pieces. For this, you're going to fold your piece in half, like the side panel here, and you can use scissors to cut it like that, and it creates a little notch, or you can just do a quick little cut in there, not too much, like 1/8 of an inch. So do that for all your side panels. Going to do the same with your zipper. The lone zipper, you're going to find the half point by folding it in half like this and marking it right there. Or you can do, in this case, you can do a little line here. I already cut it, so it will be covered with the zipper, with the bag, but a marking is better in this case. You're going to do the same with your bottom piece. You're going to fold it in half one way
So for waterproof canvas, I like to use this because it gives it a straight cut. And then we fold it again. There. And for the fabric one, I already added the stabilizer, so I really don't want to fold it too much. So I'm just carefully going to find here the middle point and just snip. Okay. And do the same. I guess I should have done this before I added the stabilizer. Take one of your lining sides and you're going to measure 1 inch from the edge, from the one of the pointy edges. Just place a mark there and another one here. Okay. Take one of your wings, and it has this shape that is shorter here and it's longer there. So on the longer side, you're going to, the longer side is going to be facing the top of the side panel, and the shorter side is what you're going to align here to your marking, and you're going to align the raw edges. You're going to do this the same on the other side. So the short end here at the bottom and the long edge facing the top of the side panel. And the instructions say to now take it to the sewing machine and stitch it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on each side. With the zipper, the teeth facing up, facing you. The wrong side of the zipper against the right side of your side panel here, you're going to match those notches that you made. Or if you didn't make the notches on your zipper, you're going to match the notch with the line that you made on your zipper. Don't skip this step. This is going to be important that you mark your zipper. So again, use a lot of clips in this process so that your zipper doesn't move when you're installing it. And you're just going to follow here the curve a little bit. Okay, it's going to give in because it's a slight curve. And you're going to place the zipper over the wings. Okay, and it's going to go past the pointy edge of your side panel. Okay, and do the same on this side. Now, as you notice, it doesn't they don't have the zipper pulls. We're going to stitch from beginning to end, from the little pointy edge all the way across, around. Okay, at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. You're going to baste it, so 4mm stitch length is good. Now take your exterior side panel, the one with the handle. Here's your part that you just stitched together with the zipper. You're going to place the right side down, the wrong side is facing you, over this zipper, okay? This is the right side of the zipper. You're going to place them matching your notches or your markings. Make sure that they match exactly. So I always match the center, and then I put clips on that center first, and then I go around matching the rest of the panels. But always mark your centers, mark your curves, anything like that first. Then go through the sides, making sure everything matches, and your pointing edges here should match as well. Yes, there. Okay. This time you're going to take it to the sewing machine. You're going to stitch it at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And I would do 3 to 3.5 millimeter stitch length. After that is completed, we're going to turn this right side out and make sure that you kind of get the seam. Okay, we're going to push this right side out now. If this is quilting cotton at this point, you can iron this to make it really flat. If not, you can use your fingers and just make this seam really flat, and push your zipper, you know, make it even here, because we're going to top stitch this now along the top and baste stitch it along the bottom. When you do that, make sure that your wings are away from the side panel here, because if you for some reason stitch it like that, it will catch it there, and we don't want that. Okay, so take your time here and make sure that you finger press. If you're using vinyl, waterproof canvas, or any other material that you don't want it to get hot, or if you're using quilting cotton, then you can press right here with your iron to make sure that everything looks completely flat and away from the zipper. Okay, so I'm just going to, and I mean, I want to make sure my bottom here matches, right? Like, I don't want this to be moved and bubbly here. I want these two to match right here at the bottom. You know what? I'm going to remove the rest of the zipper because we're going to attach it in a minute. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that because it's kind of in the way for me. Okay, it looks good. I'm going to take it to the sewing machine now. So now we're going to just pretty much follow the same process that we did before with the other side. You're going to take your lining side panel, right side facing you. You're going to mark here the 1 inch from the edge in. You're going to take the piece that you just finished, and with the lining side, right side against this lining side, you're going to align the other side of your wind. So this is the small side, this is the shorter edge, this is the longer edge. You're just going to align it right there. Okay, just like this. And you're going to do the same on this side. So both linings, right sides together. You're going to place the bottom edge here of your wing along that 1 inch marking. And we're going to take this to the sewing machine and stitch it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, baste stitching to kind of baste it in place. Now it's time to add the other part of the zipper, okay? So you're going to match those notches or markings right in the center. I added, because I cut my zipper, I shouldn't have, but I did. So I added a little bit of fray check so that it could, you know, stop the fraying in case it happens. But I place my clip there, and again on 2 immediate sides of the center. And now I'm going to continue along the curve and over the wing here. Okay, and don't pull your zipper, don't do anything like that. Just kind of let it go with the curve. There's no need to clip it. Okay, you're going to do the same here. Perfect. So we're going to do the same thing that we did before. Take it to the sewing machine, and you're going to stitch it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now, take the other exterior side panel, and you're going to place it right side facing down along the right side of your zipper here, and the right side of your lining and your wings. And again, we are going to match the center here. Okay, align it, and you're going to take it to the sewing machine at 1/4 inch seam allowance all around it. Let's turn it right side out, and we're going to do the same thing. You're going to either finger press it so that your seam is open, fully open, or you can use your hot iron and make it really flat. So I'm going to do that. And I like to, when I do this part, I like to pull my fabric so that I know I'm not finger pressing or rolling the seam that is not fully extended. You know what I mean? So I don't want to create a crease on something that is not fully the way it's going to look once I stitch it. I guess it'll probably be easier with the quilting cotton, but here we are. Okay, I want to make sure my bottom edges here align together so they match. So because when I take it to the sewing machine to top stitch it, as I'm top stitching it, I am kind of pulling the fabric in the zipper as well to make sure that it's all even out. Take it to the sewing machine and you're going to stitch it with your wings, again, facing away from your side panel here. Take it to the sewing machine, you're going to stitch it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. It's a top stitch, so 3.5 4mm stitch length, and then here as well at the bottom. Now we are going to join the bottom part of the pouch to the top. For that, we are going to take our exterior and our lining, and we're going to join them wrong sides together. So you'll see the right side of your lining here and the right side, or the exterior of your the right side of your exterior fabric, and make sure that all the 4 notches align together. Okay, and it's the pattern says to take this to the sewing machine and stitch it all around it at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, joining the exterior and the lining. Now to join the bottom to the body of the pouch, we're going to join them with the right sides together. So here's my interior, this is the exterior, right? And this is the interior of my bag, and this is the outside. And so we're going to match those notches to the side panels, right sides together, the exterior right sides together. So I have my notches here and I have my marking on this one here. So I'm just going to match those two. And it doesn't really matter which side of your square you pick, because it's all the same. But just pick, you know, one side and the other side. And in this one, I already matched my 2 notches, as you can see. And so I'm going to put clips all around it, okay? Now, you have your curves. So in this case right here, when I started, I align the 2 notches together and I put the clip, and when it gets here to the curve, you're going to take your scissors and you're just going to clip 3 or 4 times here so that the fabric gives in around the curve edge. And just going to continue, and the zipper teeth should align to your marking here on the bottom. Okay, so this is the moment of truth. I tell you, if you didn't cut the fabric right, you will know now. And I'm hoping I did it right. Okay, so here I am. I'm actually going to put some of my clips here to make it easier on me. And so we start with the straight side. Actually, I'm going to use these clips because I feel like they hold better sometimes. Okay. You definitely don't want your fabric to move around when you're doing this part. Now, I got here to the corner, you see? So when I get to this point, I'm going to take my scissors, and you see where the curve is? That's where I'm going to clip the top panel here, right at that curve. So 1, 2, 3, 4. if you cut some of it, it's all right. It's not the end of the world. Okay, so we just put the clips in there. And the other clip. Okay. And my notch is barely there. I can barely see it, but I know it's there. Yeah, it's there. Perfect. And then the zipper teeth are kind of like right there where that notch is. Okay. Now I'm going to do the other side. Same way. You push your fabric away in a way that you can manage it and control your fabric, okay? So here we get to this point where the curve starts, and I'm just going to snip it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it curves. Beautiful. Okay. 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 So my zipper here, it ends and is touching my notch right there, my marking. Okay. And now I do the other side. And you can do it any order you want. I jumped around, but it's up to you. There's no right or wrong way to follow the way you're going to join these together. Okay. So here I am, and I'm just going to snip, 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 and snip. Okay. And it goes around like that. Beautiful. And let me put that in there. And now the straight side here is straight. Okay. And it's right there at the marking. Yep, it's right there, the marking, and that one is right there. Okay. So there it is. Let me join that. Okay, beautiful. So now to stitch this, we're going to stitch it with the bottom face down against the bed of the sewing machine. You're going to start and stop stitching at 1 inch from the zipper tape. So I took my ruler and I mark 1 inch from the edge of that zipper tape, and I put a marking there. Okay, and that's where I'm going to start stitching. I'm going to go around, and I'm going to end at 1 inch from the zipper tape. So this is 1 inch, and that's where I place my marking. Then I'm going to stop, back stitch, okay? Then start again, 1 inch from the zipper tape, right here, and continue stitching all the way until you stop at 1 inch from that other side of the zipper tape. You're going to do this at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So I want to give you a quick tip. I just finished stitching the first half, and before I continue or before I decide that I'm going to add the binding or anything, I fold it with the exterior to see how it's going to look. And if I like how my curves look, then I'm good to go. If I don't, I'll stitch it again. And it's just to show you that we all make mistakes here. I was stitching and look how wrinkled it looks on this side. I had to stitch over again because you see how when I was stitching I went out. I started doing 1/4 inch instead of 3/8 because I have it, and so I had to go back and re-stitch. I didn't remove the old stitching, I just stitched over at the correct seam allowance. And I kind of did the same thing here. And I can do that because it's fabric. If it was vinyl, I probably couldn't do that. So I'm glad I'm trying this pattern for the first time using fabric, because I would be crying right now if I didn't. Okay, let's turn it right side out. And the zipper is out too. Okay, so now we're going to add the zipper pull. And remember, this is closing like this. So we want to open it from here to here, right? That means that I'm installing my zipper pull on this side. So and it was even when I first cut it, so I'm assuming it's even here too. Okay, and let's see. Okay. Okay, so it closed down perfectly. So now let's open it again, and I'm going to run stitches here so that my zipper pull doesn't come off. Okay, so I added a stitch there so my zipper pull wouldn't come off. Now I'm going to turn it again to the wrong side out, and make sure you get your zipper tape out of the way here on the outside. Here's your zipper pull that has the zipper stop, the stitching there. And here is the other zipper. So we're pretty much going to now stitch these two sides in place. Okay, so the first, she suggests that you do this side first without the one that doesn't have the zipper pull. It's supposed to close up like that. Okay, so if you want, see, she says to make the zipper not overlap but kind of align like this. So if you want your zipper to stay in place, she says that you can use staples for that here, and I have never done it, but I've seen other people do it, so I'm just gonna do it. Of course, if you staple it like really close to the edge, like an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance and you're stitching at 3/8, you're not gonna hit the staple with your needle. And I guess that's like the main thing here, is to avoid hitting the nail. I mean, hitting the staples with your needle. I am really having, I'm just going to fold it like that and just add a little staple here. So yeah, you are going to really work this zipper, like pull it, and you're gonna kind of bend the fabric a little bit until the zipper kind of gives in there. And then you're going to staple your fabrics together like this, like that. Okay. Once you start stitching, you're going to use your owl or a stiletto, and you're going to push the zipper pull and in it with enough distance for the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and I'm just going to stitch the zipper here without the zipper pull first, then the other side with the zipper pull. So I start way before, I stitch over the old stitching or some of the original stitching, and then I continue. I'm going to back stitch here by the zipper to kind of reinforce it. I'll change the needle. Now the other side. And this side I stapled. I went ahead and placed the staples here, and I was able to place some staples on top of the zipper teeth to help it kind of stay in place. So now let's go ahead and try to stitch this at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, right? And when I get to the zipper pull here, I gotta pull that away, I guess using the stiletto. We'll see. Okay. Ooh, there was something. I had to pull, and then the fabric kind of folded a little bit like that, and then carefully stitched over it, and then it was kind of like a curve. Okay, you're gonna do kind of like a curve. It worked. It's there. Now let me remove the staples. Okay, so let's go ahead and trim off the excess zipper. Make it even here to our seam. Now let's add the binding. For the binding, I'm using my waterproof canvas. I'm going to fold it in half. There are several YouTube tutorials on how to add binding, probably better than mine. But I am going to start, no, I'm not gonna start there. I'm gonna start here where, not where the zipper pull is. And I'm just gonna, you know, keep it very easy. I mean, about right there, about an inch again from the zipper tape. And I'm just gonna fold it in half. This is waterproof canvas, so it doesn't have a lot of give, but we just want to make sure that we cover the stitching. And any raw edges. That's the whole purpose of binding. Make sure that your, you know, binding covers right there the stitching, and when we stitch over it, we're going to stitch at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so just pull the zipper pull same way that you did before. Okay, I'm going to finish folding it, my binding all the way, and I'll take it to the sewing machine. Okay, here it is. Look at that. That's the binding. Now we're going to turn it right side out again. Oh man, we're almost done. And this gotta stick out, I think. Because now we're just going to add the final piece, which is this the zipper pocket that goes here on the inside. Feels very sturdy. Wow, nice. So pretty much we are going to find the middle point of the wing here. So we close it up and you find the middle. Just make sure that your zippers are in the right direction that you want them, the zipper pull. So I'm going to close this, my zipper pull to the left, and here's my zipper pull. So this way, see, I almost made that mistake. So my zipper pull to the left, my zipper pull closed to the left, and then if I close this, it goes to the left. Okay, so again, close this, find the middle, the half point. We're going to hold on to it, and we're going to insert the zipper pocket there, and also here at the bottom. Okay, and we're doing the same here. Do the same on both sides. Now do one side first, like right now I'm going to do this side first. So as you can see, I just want to make sure the zipper pocket, or the little zipper wallet here, goes all the way down and it's in there. And so she said to stitch it at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and she recommends, which is a good tip, to start at the bottom here because this could get a little bulky, so it gives the machine like momentum to go, and it will go easier. Okay, so let me go do that. And this is how it looks after adding the divider zipper pocket. You see here I stitched at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and the same on the other side, and it looks really nice. Look how open it looks and how wide. Now here's the other one I made after this one, and as you can see I added this little tab to help me open the zipper. I thought that was, you know, a nice touch. And again, it's really wide. I used this ripstop as well for the divider zipper. And I did not add the little zipper pockets in the side panels as well. Now, the zipper here was a little complicated to put in. I wanted to do 2 zipper pulls, but I really couldn't. And it was because I used Decoville Heavy instead of using Decoville Light or Decor Bond 809. So for this bag, I used Decoville Heavy, and it was a little bit more difficult to get it through the machine and get the zipper. As you can see, you have the opening here as well, so make sure that if you store anything inside the bag, that if you have anything that is small that you don't want it to get lost, put it inside the zipper pocket. You see how soft this one is, and it's because I used the Decor Bond 809 on this one. The binding, don't worry about it. It's not very noticeable after you finish. Believe me, I had issues with adding the binding, especially on the other one, the hearts one, but it's hardly noticeable. And as you can see, you can fit your pins in there perfectly, a seam ripper, and some of your, sewing tools or even makeup will fit perfectly in this bag. And as you can see, it's a little bit hard to close it. That's why I added a side tab on the other pouch to kind of help me close it a little bit better. But it's not impossible. I mean, it is doable. This is definitely a intermediate bag or a confident beginner bag, not because of the construction itself, but because of the zipper area right there. When you're taking that to the sewing machine, it can get a little tricky, and could be a little difficult to manage the fabric under your machine. So I would definitely consider this a intermediate bag. But another thing that I think will make it easier for you if you're new at bag making, or you feel confident that you can make this bag and you're not afraid of the zipper pull, is to actually use foam instead of Peltex or Decoville Heavy or even Decor Bond 809. I think that using foam may make it a little bit easier to push the fabric when you are getting the zipper under the sewing needle. And that's the one thing that I did with the hearts pouch, is I think the Decoville Heavy was too sturdy for the bag. I love the feel of it. I love how it feels, but when I was sewing it and I was trying to get the zipper to close and go under the sewing needle, it was very, very difficult and almost make me cry. So that's why I don't think I would use the Decoville Heavy again. I will probably just stick to Decoville Light, the Decor Bond 809, or even try foam interfacing. And I think I will definitely continue to do the ripstop for the lining for the zipper pocket and add the little tab on the side, because I think it helps when you are closing and opening the bag. But I love how this one feels. It feels really sturdy, and I just love that feel. So I hope this helped you, and check out the rest of the videos that I have here, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.